Okay, well, given I upset people with my top 10 movies of last year, or even my top 10 worst movies of last year, which, fun. I should probably not do that again in the future. But anyway, I wanted to talk about movies that I actually highlighted as some of my favorite first time watches of last year, which for me, I hold more of a candle to because these are movies that have existed for decades. Some were from 2024, but a lot were not. I had 30 films out of the 564 films I watched last year, which includes 11 short films. 15 films of those were watched twice, and 2 of those were watched three times. Those being Challengers and Godzilla 1954. I was not meant to watch Godzilla 1954 3 times. I just did. I don't know why. I do know why. I watched it early in the year because I was rewatching all the Godzilla films, and then they had the 70th anniversary's 4K screening, so I had to watch that. And then they did that again for minus color for -1 as a double feature, so I had to do that. So anyway, so let's talk about the 30 films that I highlighted again out of 500. That's the most I've ever watched. I had to change my Letterboxd profile thing. Actually, I haven't even done that. I said I watched over 500 films in 2019. That's the last... actually, I stand true to everything I say here. Watched over 500 films in 2019. That was a good year. I'd say things have gone downhill since, but I'm mixing my viewing habits and watching TV shows, which is nice. Everything has gone downhill since. But still, the fact that I watched 564 films is fucking crazy. But I have a list, which I have deemed... Where the fuck is it? First Time Watchers 2024 edition. Favorite First Time Watchers. Let's dive into it. If you follow me on Instagram, you know what these are, but let's just talk a little about them. So, in no particular order, we have Brain Dead from 1992. I'm not going to credit directors or anything because I'm just going off the list. I gave it 5 stars. Most of these are 4 to 5 star movies. This one was a hell of a revelation. I want this film on 4K so goddamn bad, but then I'm also concerned because it's Peter Jackson. He's probably going to AI upscale the shit out of it. So anyway, this was great. I found the uncut version on YouTube for free, and it was amazing. I didn't know much about it, so having everyone... I didn't know it was the goriest film of all time, and it's fucking insane. It is utterly hilarious, insanely beautiful, visceral and everything. Just amazing. That was probably my favorite of these watches, in all fairness, because that's what made me think I should make a list, and that was my number one. We have The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, which is a very surreal giallo film, which is also kind of a ghost film, but also isn't a ghost film, and I love it. The poster is awesome. I hope I can find the one from my letterbox, which is a girl who has a skull face and is holding a head, a decapitated head. And the movie title, which sounds stupid, The Night Evelyn Came Out of Her Grave, oh, it's like a metaphor. No, it's real. She comes out of her grave and it's fucking awesome. One of the better Italian giallos. It's crazy. Another Italian giallo I really liked was Death Walked on High Heels. This is a Luciano Ercoli film, which is one of the few I watched of his, but I absolutely loved it. Neves Navarro is in it, and she is tremendous. Yeah, it's a really crazy film with a lot of weird flashbacks and stuff, but it's one of those just crazy plot devices that's like, how the hell is this movie a thing? But it's fun. I really enjoyed it. Then you get Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1956, which I had given 4 stars. This was a really interesting first time watch because there was so much anxiety in it, and I really, really appreciated that. I don't know, I'd never seen it before. I'd only seen the 78 version. I now have every single release of a invasion film from the 78 version, the one from the 90s, the Invasion. Actually, I don't have the Robert Rodriguez version, which is not titled anything to do with Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but it is a Invasion of the Body Snatchers film. Can't remember what it's called. The Faculty, that one's really good, but I did watch that last year. Also fun. But this Invasion of Body Snatchers, maybe my favorite of them, at least currently. I just like its style. It just works with this great anxiety-inducing piece. It's a classic. It's one of those films you always see on in the background of other films where you get the, McCarthy running to the camera and saying, "They're here," or the great where they discover the pods. There's a lot of scenes. If you've seen Gremlins, you've seen like the best moments of this movie. But it works well as its own anxiety-inducing piece, even if it does seem a bit fluffy. Because yeah, hey, 50s, the Cold War, communism's bad? Question mark. Anyway, then we get Drive Away Dolls, which is one of the few of the 2024 films on this list, and this one was extraordinary. The fact that Ethan Coen can just make a really funny movie like this, which is not unusual because most of his films are hilarious. I know they're also Joel Coen as well, but this one's a solo feature. And it isn't a solo feature. He made this one with his wife. She gets, for me, all the credit because she's fantastic. It's co-written, produced, and edited by her. This is Trisha Cook. She's amazing. Very funny. If you like quirky, queer crime films, it's great. If you don't like the quirky ones, but you like the darker ones, then Love Lies Bleeding is the adjacent, the yin to its yang, per se. The Nega Scott version of it. I can't remember I don't know. I'm just picturing Kermit the Frog with the evil Kermit the Frog. Anyway, Drive Away Dolls, very good, 4.5 stars. Then we get Peeping Tom from 1960, the technically original slasher film, which again, on par with Psycho. I think it's better than Psycho. I enjoy it a lot more than Psycho. I'd never seen it before, and I was like, man, this film's fucking good. It's really creepy. It's beautifully eerie. The main guy is amazing in his performance. It's some really interesting uses of the camera and just cinema in general, the narrative, everything. Great. 10 out of 10. Then we got The Searchers, because I've watched a bunch of John Wayne films. Turns out John Ford, one of the greats. Who'd have thought it? If only everyone had always said that since the dawn of time. They hadn't, but they should have been. 5 stars, because you can't go wrong. One of the greatest westerns ever made, if not the greatest western ever made. Then we get Evil Dead Trap 2, Hideki, from 1992. I gave this one 4.5 stars. It is crazy how much I love this. Because the first one, I'm like, yeah, it's like Saw, but Japanese, but kind of tame. I don't know. That was the first Evil Dead Trap, which I was just not as impressed by. It's got some great effects. But Evil Dead Trap 2 was like this really surreal kind of experience. It is so fucking different. It is nothing like the first film. It is a sequel, like you kind of have to still watch the first one, which I would suggest. The first one's still pretty good, but this one just took it out of the park. It's like, what if we just made this the fucking weirdest film you've ever seen? And so far, that is a great highlight of 2024 in my viewing habits. But yeah, it's good. It's wonderful. I loved it. Then we get Godzilla vs. Hedorah, because I watched obviously I watched all the Showa era Godzilla films, which I did a video on. This was my favorite. Actually, it wasn't my favorite. I think my favorite. I don't think I added my favorite to it. Did I watch that in 2020? I watched Mothra in 2023. So my favorite was this one, for this year at least, with Godzilla vs. Hedorah. I was like, man, I know I started some of them in 2023, and I did. And I finished the rest in 2024. Hedorah is really dark. I did not expect it, because you go into, this is the Showa era period where they're all like cartoonish and stuff, and mostly for kids. And then this one's just like, hey, what if we just make it about how the environment is really polluted, and the pollution comes back into a humongous form and just kills people brutally. It just melts people. It's insane. It is. I would love to see a modern day remake, Shin Godzilla kind of style of this. I know that the guy who did -1 wants to remake this film. That would be amazing, because it is tremendous. Gave it 4.5 stars. And then I watched from 2019, Deerskin. This was one that my friend Caitlin had lent me a copy of, which I ended up buying my own, because I'm just like, holy fuck, this film's amazing. I gave it 5 stars. It's a really bizarre and weird film, and then it gets even crazier. It's basically about a guy who gets a camcorder, because he's poor and all he can get in the end is a camcorder and a place to stay. And he just films whatever. And he's like, I'm making a film. Do you want to be my editor? To this random bartender. And she's like, yeah, sure. So he just starts filming random shit. And then it gets violent with what he starts doing. And it just goes from there. And it's like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And it just keeps piling on. Really interesting. It is French or something. It's not English. Pretty certain. It's a horror comedy. That's great. From Belgium. Okay, it's a French language film, but it's filmed in Belgium, France, and Switzerland. So, yeah. Really worth... A very underrated 2019 film. I think it was actually really popularly rated, just very underseen. Then we got The Devils from 1971. I actually watched this twice last year. Crazy. Fucking amazing. 5 stars. I cannot believe I'd never really watched a Ken Russell film outside of Lair of the White Worm, which I actually watched on my birthday a few years back. Crazy. But this one, his masterpiece. It's such a phenomenal film, such insanely amazing performances from the bulk of the cast, but obviously the 2 leads, who I won't bother to say who they are because it doesn't matter. If you don't know who they are, you should know who they are. It's Vanessa Redgrave and Olivia and Oliver Reed. There you go. I said their names. Happy? Then we have Female Prisoner 701 Scorpion, which I believe is the second of 4 of the Female Prisoner films. I've only seen the first 2. I've got the box set. I watched the first one. A week later, watched the second one. Was like, wow. The first one, already great. I believe this is the second one, because I think the first one was just called Jailhouse 41, that was 1972. They're both from the same year. I don't even know if this is a sequel. I have no idea. Isn't that kind of weird, how I don't know? Oh, do you know what's even better? It doesn't matter, because my next film is Female Prisoner Scorpion Jailhouse 41. Jailhouse 41 is the sequel. I actually think it's better than the first one. There's a lot of the R word in it, which I probably don't think I can say on YouTube, but they're amazing revenge thrillers. The second one is really brutal because of just all the shit they do to the main character, but then the revenge is just that much sweeter. It's more of an adventure film. It's, in a weird way of saying it, like, it just takes place outside of the prison. The first one's in a prison. The second one's like, hey, we've broken out. Now let's look at how fucking weird Japan is. It's, again, has some greatly surreal elements, beautifully shot. I cannot wait to watch the third and fourth one, but again, I just didn't get around to it, so who'd have thought it? Then we get challenges. Who likes this film? Not me. Why would I like the best film of 2024? Tennis. Yuck. Anyway, I love it. It's my favourite film of last year. And then my second favourite film of last year, Hundreds of Beavers, which is technically a 2022 film, but it got its official release in 2024. My hand is hot because this film gets hot. 5 stars for both of them. Challenges, love it. Hundreds of Beavers, love it. Just, pinnacle of cinema right here. I mean, come on, amazing. Then I watched The Apartment. I wanted to watch a comedy on the Criterion channel, so I was like, comedy, and I came up with The Apartment. I'm like, alright, sure. Jack Lemmon? Yeah, Jack Lemmon. Am I going to say it how many times? Billy Wilder, Jack Lemmon. You have Shirley MacLaine. Yeah, comedy, obviously. This is not a comedy. It's funny, but it's really, really heartfelt and, like, dramatic and impactful, and holy shit is it beautiful. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I'm watching, I'm halfway and thinking, I looked at Letterboxd, I'm like, man, everyone's giving this, like, really high ratings. I'm like, I mean, I guess it's alright. It's, like, it's enjoyable so far, but as it crept over and over, and by the time I got to the end, I was like, how dare you make me cry? Anyway, beautiful cinema. 10 out of 10. Then we got Tammy and the T-Rex, because we all have fun on this channel here. Watched the Vinegar Syndrome version. No, was it? I can't remember. I borrowed, I think it was Vinegar Syndrome's version, but like a UK release or something. Borrowed it from Phil and Caitlin and loved it. I'm like, 4 stars, amazing. What the hell is this movie? They had the unrated cut. It's the best way to go. And then, of course, I ordered the 4K of the unrated cut from Vinegar Syndrome because I had to have it in my collection. And it's wonderful. Can't wait to watch it again. It is so fucking stupid. Then we have Matilda, which I watched on Netflix before getting the 4K Steelbook. 4.5 stars. I was just really compelled by it. It's beautifully acted, amazing direction, a fun story. I don't even know if I've ever read the book. Probably did as a child, but don't remember it. But it's great. For a lot of my friends, it's a nostalgic film. I mean, it came out in 96, so 2 years before I was born. So it has an impact for a lot of people in my generation who grew up with it. But yeah, beautiful. I loved it. I only watched it because I stopped by my mate's place again, Phil and Caitlin. They were halfway through it, and I was like, I should watch that film. They're like, yeah, you gotta watch this film. So I went home and watched the film, and I was like, man, you guys are right. This film fucking slaps. Very good. Then we got A Lizard in a Woman's Skin, my favourite of the Lucio Fulci films, which I got the Umbrella release, and I'd never seen it, and it's like, man, this film's fucking crazy. It's so, again, surreal giallos. Sometimes really like surreal giallos. Sometimes I just want the standard ones, where it's just slash and dash, but then you get the really crazy ones like this, where sometimes I'm just really wanting that, because I watched another, I don't think it was a Fulci film, maybe Mikado or something, another Italian slasher film, and it was just too surreal. I'm like, I'm not in the mood for this. I don't care about it. But this one, I like this one. This one's really good. The Umbrella release had a beautiful video essay that dived into what all the paintings meant and stuff, which you wouldn't think about as a regular viewer. But I'm like, man, there's some great shit in this film. It is insane. Anyway, then we got In a Violent Nature, also from 2024, which is on my top 10 list, so go ahead and check out that video and get offended by it. Because the next film was also Trap, which I gave 5 stars. Again, my third favourite film of last year. In a Violent Nature I love because I love the Jason Voorhees films, and I thought it was hilarious, and then I thought it was really scary in the last act. Insanely terrifying. I had no idea I was going to feel that way about it, which is so much better. Because then we watched Trap, which I loved the first time I watched it, but I'm like, the pacing felt a little long by the second half, because I didn't know what was going to happen in the second half of the movie, because none of the trailers told you. But then I rewatched it with my partner, like a week later, and I got to the second half, and it became really tense, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great. I know exactly what's going to happen, and I'm so fucking freaked out at the same time. This is wonderful. I love it. Can't go wrong. Then I watched Night of the Demon from 1957, which again was another one. I did a video about films called The Night of the Night of the films. Night of the Hunter, Night of the Demon, Night of the Demons, Night of the Creeps, Night of the Comet. I did a couple of those. And this was the one that stood out the most. This one was fantastic. I love Night of the Creeps, but I'd already seen it before. This is amazing. It is one of those really weird horror films that has a beautiful creature effect and rarely shows the demon. Like, the demon's at the start and at the end, and in the middle it's just creepiness, and it's beautifully shot. The characters are really interesting. It's a great narrative. Very, very highly suggested. 4.5 stars. And then The Substance, also 2024, which again, 4.5 stars. It's probably realistically the best film of last year. Again, I didn't give a 5 because I wasn't huge on the pacing of it, because it is long, and I haven't rewatched it, so I can't say if I'm completely comfortable with the pacing. But, amazing performances, beautifully shot, amazingly directed, just an amazing story, very funny, very scary, beautifully gory, love it, just everything I want in a film, and more, because you get Margaret Qualley, and she's, love it. Demi Moore's fantastic. Dennis Quaid. Good shit. Anyway, look, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's fucking crazy. Then we got Kingdom of the Spiders, which I watched twice last year. I watched it twice because I watched it, and I loved it, gave it 4.5 stars. I'm like, this is one of the best eco-horrors I've ever seen. It's insane. The concept keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's small town with fun characters. It's really nicely shot. Some great effects works. The spiders are creepy, and then the ending tops it off, which I'm not going to spoil. But then, about a month later, I was like, you know what, I kind of want to listen to the commentary track, because I was fixing up the room at the time, and my friend Lee Gambin had done a commentary on it, and I think it's probably his best commentary track. It is fucking incredible. In 90 minutes, he's able to talk about so much stuff to do with eco-horror that I'm like, how did you breathe? It's insane. If you're going to get this film, get the Kino Cult release. It is fucking amazing. Just an insanely great commentary by Lee, and it's just a fucking amazing film in general. So, highly worth watching, highly worth seeking out that release. Then I watched Salem's Lot from 1979. This is part of my Hooptober, because it was a Tobe Hooper film. I gave it 4.5 stars. I watched it when no one was home, because it's 3 hours long, and it was perfect timing. Everyone else was out at my grandparents' place, and I'm like, that's cool, I'm gonna watch Salem's Lot. And I did. And it was wonderful. It was just long and creepy, and I was like, it's alright so far. I'm thinking, this doesn't feel like a Tobe Hooper film, but by the second half, it felt like a fucking Tobe Hooper film. Once they get inside that house, it's like, oh yeah, Texas Chainsaw written all over this. This is great, love it, 10 out of 10. The vampire, great, the creepy kids, fun characters. It takes a while to build up, because it is a 3-hour long TV movie, but it pays off so nicely. Great stuff. Then we get Mighty Joe Young. I did a whole video talking about Ray Harryhausen films because I watched all of them except for this one because I couldn't find a Blu-ray release, or it's streaming anywhere, of course. And then, like, 3 months later, it's just there at Play Music DVD. They had 2 copies. I'm like, what the fuck? So I bought it, I went home and watched it, and I'm like, holy shit, this is my favorite of these goddamn movies. It's, yeah, a King Kong ripoff, but at the same time, it also isn't. Like, it starts off in the jungle. Well, it's not even the jungle, it's just Africa. The girl adopts a monkey, Mighty Joe Young. They grows up into a big monkey. These white people come by and they're like, hey, well, I mean, they're already white anyway. And they're like, hey, this monkey's really talented. Let's make him famous. Let's make you famous. Bring him to Hollywood. Big show. You know how the original King Kong takes the whole movie for them to get back to New York for the Broadway? This does it in the start of the second act. Great, because then you just see the trial and tribulation of going through this, of just doing the same shit every fucking night and being trapped in a cage. It's very drama. Love it. Wonderful effects with the monkey. Amazing stop motion by Ray Harryhausen. Stuff that he recycles in later films really nicely. Again, like lassoing, like there's cowboys trying to lasso the monkey and stuff. So much good stuff like that. And it looks seamless because it's also in black and white. And I love his black and white films more than his color films. I love Clash of the Titans and Seven Voyages of Sinbad, but I just prefer them in black and white. They look so much better. And so it's more seamless in my mind. And then the whole last act is a completely different section. Then again, each act is a completely different thing, but it all works so well, and they even color tint the last act to a degree. They make it all red, and I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. Beautiful. Amazing film, definitely worth watching, insanely good. I wish I had have watched it before doing my Ray Harryhausen video, because now it's just not there, and I gotta do a new video or something. Do I just grab the original file and just add a little input? I'd be like, oh, fuck all that stuff I just said, this is the best one. I don't know. Anyway, then we have City of the Living Dead, again, Fulci film? Yeah, another Fulci film, which is... Oh, maybe this is my favourite of Fulci's. I realise he does Giallos as well as he did zombie slashes. I know you're thinking like zombie flesh eaters and stuff, but maybe this is my favourite. This is my favourite of these zombie ones, whereas the Lizard and Woman's Skin is my favourite of his Giallos. This one is insanely fun. I mean, it starts with a priest killing himself, and then the apocalypse happens. I'm like, oh, wow. What a way to start your movie, man. I love that. The effects are amazing. It's just constant and moving, and I love it. I enjoyed it a lot more than any of the other 2 Gates of Hell films. Like, The Beyond is great, and, Zombie Flesh Eaters is great, but this one takes the cake for me. This one just works so much better for me. I had a blast watching it. I cannot wait to watch it again. I got the 4K of it as well. I'm so fucking keen to watch that. I can do that this year, because it'll be a new watch. Good job, me. Anyway... Then we have The Cook, The Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, which I gave 5 stars. An impeccable film. I need a beautiful new remaster because there's so much detail in it. It's a lot of wide shots, so a lot of the details like far in the distance, and a 4K would just beautifully just encompass all that kind of stuff. Really show you all the nitty-gritty stuff, but it's a beautiful performances from the main characters, from the lead actors, I should say. Michael Gambon is tremendous in it. Helen Mirren, amazing. Good extras as well. Like, there's a lot of really fun characters in it. It is not the film I expected it to be, and I'm also like, you know what? I kind of actually really love it. It is fantastic. Going blind helps. I had no idea what the film was about outside of what the title says, and the title is very appropriate, but yeah, wonderful. Then we have The Return of the Vampire. This is the second last of 20 of the 30 that I have on my list. This one was good. This one was like, I think this is one of my new favourite vampire films. I mean, it's beautifully misty. Love the mist, the fog, all that stuff. Lugosi is a vampire, great. You get a werewolf, great. You got 2 different time periods because it starts in World War One and ends in World War Two. It's really fun and really interesting. There's only like a slow patch just in the middle when he's trying to infect 2 different people as the vampire. But then it just has just so much inventiveness in its act structure and how it deals with the vampire as a creature, because it's not just like, oh, look, there's this nice guy. He's just a regular guy. Why is all my friends turning sick? Oh, look, they're all dead. Oh, now they're all back as vampires. It's none of that bullshit. It's like, hey, we know what a vampire is. We killed one at the start of the movie. Oh, wait, you're that vampire. Why didn't we... oh, no, you're back and you got a wolf man again. Oh, shit. There's a Wolfman in this movie. He's fantastic. Definitely worth seeking out the Scream Factory release. Really nice restoration and 3 commentary tracks. Cannot wait to listen to at least one of them because Lee did the commentary for it, so I'm really eager to watch that. And last but not least, we have maybe it's better than the other one that I mentioned, The Searchers. I don't know. It's on par. My Darling Clementine. I'd never seen it before. The 4K restoration from Criterion was just divine. It is such a beautifully shot film. It is such a lie. The whole story is such a lie. It's hilarious. It's hilarious too because John Ford knew the guy who the film was about. They were friends, and the whole film is a lie. It is fucking hilarious. But as a film in its own right, I thought it was really impactful, beautifully done. One of the most interesting westerns I've seen, because I don't really love westerns that much, but I really thought that this was just beautiful. It's, like I said, amazingly shot, great cast. Is it Henry Fonda? Fucking amazing. I always think of Jane Fonda, but still, wonderful. Just amazing film, definitely worth watching if you have not seen it. It is insanely good. Just watch the theatrical cut. I know that the Criterion comes with 2 cuts, but just watch the theatrical cut. You don't need the extra stuff. This one's perfect. There you go, 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Anyway, that's it. I hope this has enlightened you to films that you've maybe never heard of before. And then you'll be like, wow, if he gave it 5 stars, then maybe it's a piece of shit. It's possible. Again, film is subjective. You might think that, like, Challenges and Trap, you might have thought that they were kind of garbage. It's perfectly fine. I love them, and that's what counts. But these were the ones, 30 of the 500 odd that I watched that really stood out to me last year. Yeah, as in just for first-time watchers. They're ones I am so happy to have on physical, at least for the most part. Again, it's basically just Brain Dead that I don't have, which fucking sucks. Could be one of those I downloaded from the internet, whatever, and then just put it on the disc, but I'm probably not going to do that. But anyway, that's all. Let me know some of your favourites that you newly discovered last year that weren't just 2024 films down below, or give me some suggestions, or tell me I'm wrong. I don't know, it's YouTube. Whatever. Anyway, see you kids next time. Adios.